literally beat me to a pulp. That is on Akia Duga Duga. This guy beat me up 2 weeks after I had my cesarean section because I did not wash his clothes and refused my mother from washing his singlet and boxers. I knew it was time for me to leave immediately. I found out he cheated and even had the guts to rub it to my face. I left the following day with my 6-month-old son. It hasn't been easy, but it definitely has been the best 4 months of my life after the rubbish called marriage. Hey! Today we're going to be looking at a topic that is quite interesting because I have seen lots of persons write me about that particular story, about that particular case. And tonight we're going to be handling all of that. If you had followed me on Facebook, you would see that we shared a post on our official Facebook page talking about the topic we're going to be having tonight. Anyway, good evening and welcome to the Love Side of Radio. It is glad to know that you have found me and you are tuned in to Choice 97.1 FM. Happy Sunday. How are you doing? Today is the 12th of April. Today's weather wasn't quite bad. Earlier was sunny, but this evening is quite windy. We're trusting God that maybe, just maybe, the rain falls. Good evening and welcome to the show. We are reaching you live now from our studios in Otolonewi, Anambra State. My name is Chioma Nelly Adinda, and this program is called Sensations. It is exclusive to Choice 97.1 FM, and because this is a love show, it is our foremost love show. I got my Basata the married tonight. Last week Sunday, we opened up a conversation about how issues start usually between a man and his wife as it pertains the sustainability, the sustenance of a family together working a family marriage. I was able to, from the feedback that we got, find out that Nifano case, so a lot of people na gabiga na their marriages. In fact, tonight is not an exception. I get raise a case called resentment in marriage. Imalifana be anymore. Beautiful people, and welcome to Sensations. This is your favorite love and relationship radio show, real issues that may affect marriages. Tonight we are going to dive into something a lot of married people go through, a lot of married people are dealing with, but don't always talk about. Something very silent, if very dangerous, and are they capable of destroying even the strongest. Give me fun and say that now. If a break model, this is something that can break whatever it is that you are calling a union or calling a marriage if it is left unchecked. And topic kind of about resentment in marriage. Oftentimes when I join what is it called, marriage relationship counseling groups, or maybe especially no leben and dinner wunye na na-asị na nwaanyị obi adịrị mma na di obi adịrị mma ọ na-aga abụ a na-ekpe ikpe ahụ a na-aga ajụkalị kedu ife bụkwa na ife ọ bụrụ na mmehie ama adị na ife a na-asị gị bụ na gị gbaalụ ị na-afụta onye a na-ayọsi ya gbaalụ body language ya ịghọta ọ bụrụ na onye anụ efe ilu nọ na-emejọrọ ya. It is the fact that na this person's body arụ onye anụ a store maybe a lot of major to the point that na emotionally and mentally na far from how they feel about you. Ima no na gap ndị mmadụ na-akụzi ife fa say na love na marriage abro love, that na married na love is not enough to sustain a marriage. On a gap no such a thing. I usually ask because it's quite an interesting discourse. Na gaju fa say abro na love are there enough to sustain a marriage, then what is? I say na compatibility, na forgiveness, na nkemade. I like to believe that inside all of the things in a mention, that those things are all fruits of love. Makana akwifo, resentment is when you no longer have love for your beginning. That's the summary. Mgbe ina de nwezi mpasuta obi, ina de nwezi ifunanya, cha for your beginning. Now, because I have done this a couple of years, I have seen a lot of couples, a lot of married people at this stage. Manafa be together and they do well, I would call it investment. Investment number one on worker. I say that we are staying together, if not because of the children. Sometimes who do not check out for them the say on a radio. Fat on a radio for cosial give their partner name man if not for the children. So I think people who are at this stage in their marriages stay for 3 reasons. Investment number 1, the children. With the self-esteem challenge, na papa farapulo, mama famobo, na mama farapulo fa, where say they should stay with their dad or they should come stay with her in the event of a divorce or separation. Then case in Kawaga. Second investment, we couple businesses and build together. Maybe now we meet Lonia and Unuji when and now you've been able to move away from poverty because our course source in the phone you got you to 1,000. Mother got you to 10,000. So when you come a million or web awful. So we only vertical energy together. We build a bigger conglomerate that now gives you leverage. If you got buzina, una drozi kunu dibo before. And because una drozi ilo see nego kwana na logo kono na wonka business sana na brege udili returns no ko madam na handle shop ama na with udili ga no ko ga na eme nka no na emu udili fa na wonka umuazi ndi aga imago those kind of a thing. So sometimes financial investment is the second reason why people don't walk away at this stage. The third reason people don't walk away at this stage is because of other investment, family and friends. Imago your network. Imana naga ko sina onaga bo mmadụ na abobia together sina fa chola no ndi na nwunye fanwa nwoke na wete network ya network ge bụ ndị ima apart from your family bụ ndị ogo gị oge wete business associate obu na na azụ afia oge wete colleagues ya ma obu na na alụ ọlụ oge wete friends ya imago. So when you are marrying a man, you're marrying his network, which includes family ya o, friends ya o, ndị church ya o, just you shall know what I'm saying. And then the same thing with the woman. The woman they make a business with business in the business and so when eventually they get on a couple of game board the single gonna call again Chioma my friend Gineka my friend dig na call again bunuka the single lunuka na chimi gonna sigilote chibuike my friend mana most times dina wunye no kozia ndị ama abuzi di your husband friend your husband so oma abuzi friend your wife obuluzi fine akpo family friend abuzi na the couple abiago together co-op to their network A get a network B a unify the network into a circle. So most times the third reason why people don't walk away when they get to a stage like this is because of investment of children, 2 investment of businesses, finances, and maybe the growth that they have been able to build together, and then investment number 3, which entails the network of family and friends and every other person, because maybe in Igbo nwanyi bụ a people pleaser like after gị ezigbo mmadụ ịmalụ na na ndị click una when ine ga side digi. So because of that, they say because we came man when the opportunity, you call your own side of the story. The other I say man, we can see how they chulaga this girl can we call Buna. No through hackies we want one contract. We can call Buna one big investor, one tingle gonna business and they make it now worry. They see anaba na that could bridge some access inward to some high places. I don't know if you understand. So it depends on whose network we are dealing with. And if I'd like to anyway, not today, because that one of the things I have tried to teach married people especially marital counseling. One of the things I teach particularly is about building your network. And I'm about what kind of dwell in Albania because I'm focus either conscious of the network you are building and to make sure that when you're on a circle as a family friend wants the growth of that family. Unu nwiko na-enwe problem. Ọ na-aga bụ nna akụzili ndị the single. Nna ga asị fa na ị na-choose onye ị ga-anụ. As much as you are praying to God to give you an intentional man, ọbịa ka a na-akpọzi ya kịta. Intentional man, a good man. Gị yọkwa Chukwu ka onye gị nwoke ndị ọ na-anụla okwu bụ ndị chọka unu not together. The same thing with the woman. Let the girl you're asking to be with you Couple somebody that the people she listens to are people who want the two of you to go. But when they talk together, they are alone. And when it doesn't matter what the person is doing, they are just forcing two of you to stay there, even if that thing is toxic as hell. Anyway, so because as you're marrying somebody, you are marrying the person's influence. Influence bundio na nuloku oposia musia manya bata oposia jesia wedding nata or jesia funeral nata, and we can the person that left the house and the person that came back are not the same persons. So bidona, because him and Anna by fan of premarital class, Anna focus carry most times on submission and they focus on provision. Okay, has to provide, a woman has to submit. But Anna forget that the marriage is not all about provision and submission. Marriage, the cook was seeing a lot of taproot and a lot of things that open check area, open across those T's and adult those eyes. Okay, so that is why in Bebo, Anna chain no mado, Anna jena family unyangwa, sege na family India mwadema, makana etuaka papa fa siwenwa mama fa etuaka brodonya siwenwa munyi. So they believe that it runs in the family. The reason they pick people from family is because of the influence and the paradigm that is haboro ejiwezu onyawa if they prevalent in that family. Okay, so obulu nasi na ifende na body ifende the prevalent in your family. Ad geji ewe simba nasi no mwanyi fa na fa na anu na di nasi no mwanyi fa na fa na mama na fa na make esi dozi mago. They will just give you all those options and all those story structure that will help you understand why they are approving of you to marry from that family. Otherwise, look at Kitana, where you can just be in the bus. Lagos one day, where one very fine girl but before you know what's happening, you tell your people each other there. So tonight we're discussing resentment. Makana onwelebe miline bido maba mmadu. And oftentimes when people come to bring me into a mediation between a couple, I most times try to take the couple back to the beginning, because as at the time this is not your zone or the poor. And we go A na B na C na D na E na F G H I J K L M N. That brought us to that point of maybe Q or maybe W or maybe X. So obulu na ebidoro n'isi wee malo nekwa the taproot. If you got the busy na cure with the cobwebs, if ata begi for cobweb wala sa pachasianya mana spider di na begi kade. So back to the foundation of the conversation tonight. Resentment. I got mana bania kedi fobo kedi kosi ebido kedi febu one inside kedi fo gabe fo ba imana na kwadi iruwe kwa na ebanwa. And the figure met to prevent it. But however, already, is there a possible hope that you could come out of it? Because if the Bible say, the giving one of a righteous ember, hope delayed. There's something the Bible says about hope, if I'm correct. I've forgotten that scripture. Mobo if on a law bruno de afuzia. Ifuzio nyang will lose hope. And once somebody loses hope in something, most often than not, that marriage are they restored. You're good if I can make child not together. They are just living together. I'm Chioma Nelly Adendo. This is the love side of radio. Now, bani I napamaka resentment in marriage. Can be favor resentment. Kedi krema the game make it we chop tabana resentment ababa kwana na fire na dim or be fire na wuni neme. Kedi signs, what are the things you see, and then you know that you are there or you are headed there. And if what are the things you can do to avoid it, and if you're there already, could there be remedy? Okay, so I like to always say that every single time I come to a mediation office or a mediation table, between couples, I usually try to read the body language of the person this evening, just coincidentally this evening, I was listening to a girl who was telling me a story, but stepbrother, if a stepbrother messelia, when they were growing up, did to her mother, did to her father, abroad, the guy name was expectation. Na was he DNA jacket if no kwa this his sister with the only blood on was no one. Eke di fe be fe one melo one na meji balo. And the man if an emendi na mejo mother bona give one emeji hey keep score because you are the offender, right? You will keep one zoketa no apom madi mo gwa mother something and you have gone home to sleep peacefully. Manonya we gwariam we ko woluzie ya internalize ne ekwu okwu nke ni mobi. And the more they do that, they regurgitate. They go ke wusi ataife obupoku otale ko lotokwa kisi pio we lotokwa kisi we made that thing. So it now makes a more lasting impression on the person to that ball carry again matolia. Obolo na itu okute kita no akowa out na windscreen mmadu ejese bula na yobo nyanwa because ye do ni ewe niwe na ekowa windscreen ye. Onyanwa megide mecha gba alo gi maka na ekowa windscreen. Onalu obie he or she may not be happy because onyanwa meka biara. Malo ma windscreen di na motia mo follow come. Abu not follow come on look at we go to original windscreen at this point, and maybe the money is going to come from her purse, and then we get it down what a mechanic get replace the windscreen. It might not look neat again. It might not went down and if her crack, they lose interest. And that's the same thing with a lot of relationships and a lot of marriages. If you are with someone, I always say to people, there are lines that you please should not cross. That is in a major madonna natambalo, ne major madonna natambalo. Even Bible see I got no gidezi na mehe kamera we ba enwe line in ekwesiri na cross in some things, because once you get to that point onya ma wokweri kopro gini akabi mana imifa na si na ewuru gi igwe oku we so bi onyanwa adigo bitter towards you. So resentment practically is when your partner is bitter towards you. Obrozi iwe at this time ade ayozi ambalo based on mejolia, because now it's no longer anger, it is bitterness, and bitterness is no longer most times bitterness had a one-off performance. Bitterness na dike eba na ekpofu aifia, it is a pile up of debris. So until the bulu tractor where they do not throw trash here, we clear the entire dirt of that place, which usually takes a lot of time, and then cleaning up the place near months and months and months of years to heal before you can find that place. And sometimes if you unless right, that place will still have that stench. So this is why Naija send the mother only name madife ijapana too far. Just it crossing us. Anyway, tonight let's talk about resentment in marriage. Resentment at the bidona or the bido ofubulu where Aroka one mountain usually starts small. If I about little foxes that spoil the vine. Ndi bonagas no brombo watakili rufu manuka na etiefe. No mbo ufu richelako. Okwembo kesi ekwie. So most times the straw that breaks the camel back is not the biggest straw. It's just the time where the back of the camel is tired. And not only if you go camel back, you break it is not even something you want to use as an analogy to give example. So if an cause kali resentment repetition is the law of lasting impression. So repetition bo mmadụ na-eme gị ife mekwasikwa gị na-emekwa gị ana-ekwu okwu ife anwa na-aga ana-ekwu okwu ife anwa na-aga. Most often than not, resentment is a result of repetition of ill behavior. That is, na mmadụ na-eme gị ife na-emekwasikwa gị without probably giving you the room to heal and without them stopping that thing they are doing. Even how we relate to God, for example, Chineke na ga asị anyị na ọ bụrụ na imehie gị that he is faithful and just to forgive and cleanse you from all unrighteousness. So if you confess your sin and forsake them, the Bible never said if you confess your sin and he left it there. It always said if you confess and forsake, which means because where you will get restitution, which is nabata, before restitution, there has to be a reverse of that thing in a Bible before. If you don't stop that thing, your apology means nothing. Biki na yok means nothing. sorry na isi sorry na abana say no kwa ma no iwe no maka na ngoro mmanya no maka na akpara egirero no maka na business gi na-enye nsogbu ka iji kopia nwa dị anafọ ka iji wee seize ego si na imenyezi ima drop ego ni ka iji wee seize kọlụ motorcycle ma ọ bụ moto igolu ka nyanwa ji wee jụ na ọma nyezi gị sex ka o ji wee si na ọma sizili gị na ọma asụzili gị akwa ka o ji wee si that na ọma na-ejezi ọma na-edozi gị anya she will no longer play her wifely duty. So it just goes from multiple ways. Most times resentment dey bido from unspoken expectations. Mmadụ na-agwa gị sorry unmet expectations. Mmadụ na-agwa gị sị gị nekwa ife anụ a no ife anụ a bụ ife na-ebutela anyị misunderstanding in the marriage and or in the relationship and ọ ga-amasị m ma ọ bụrụ na ị na-ebele ife anụ anya kwụsịnata ya because the more ị na-eme ọ na-elewa m obi. You know, I like to say to people that consideration is sometimes considered the highest form of love. Kedu ife bụ consideration na mmadụ ga-elu ife anụ na-eme gị nche ime now kedu ka ọ ga-esi ma affect onye ọ bụ mụ ya. While empathy is what if it were me, consideration is even though it is not me, how would it affect what I have? Some people are faithful in their marriages not because that they don't have running out for people that make them get sexually excited all the time or people that try to create distraction from what they have. It is most times they don't cheat because na famana maybe this is the what oga bufas on you now. The ripple effect maybe affect my finances affect which affects the family, maybe affect his love for his wife or for his children which affects the family. Maybe bupuzi oba from B oba from D that na DNA metezi akodi akakrokra na ereki enaro, right? So oftentimes when people put you into consideration, this thing I'm doing, how does it affect the union that I have with someone? So then in unya one lawyer say, let me not get it. Obro no dey agum. Ona gabo mo azena na mom eje funeral. Fa digotion na mom egeji can malt we nata. Mo no gagbo na bottle. O gagbo na empty bottle we bu na to ga rice na waterproof. In fact, the moment your mother tells you she's going for a wedding, you already know that she's coming back with something. Maybe it's his money she hadn't eaten. But because she knows that you have hope that thing, because some people get the first time and she saw how your eyes lit up when she came back. Mommy, no, a book the waterproof rice. Bottle can of malt, you know those kind of things. Even though there's rice that maybe even tastes better in the house, the fact that you brought the one you went with, you got at a function, is something that people like to pleasure. However, we are now speaking from the position of the person who had to sacrifice what they wanted just so that you could have that 2 minutes excitement that you were hoping for. So abroad that as a man that you can't say that you're polygamous in nature. Abroad that as a woman that you cannot say that since you know that you're not always sexually aroused by your husband. However, when you consider your partner, you do what you have to do because if I'm in will affect the unity in the marriage. Does it now make sense? So when unmet expectations, if and then if you make a marriage work, and you feel that the person is not doing it, then sometimes because resentment is an accumulation of small unresolved issues. Imago issue. And we can put in kind of say sorry. When we got that say sorry, still do your worst more bagging kitty. And when more cases, I can count a lot of cases. And when one can cancel case in K dear Bonnie police. Dear Nata Oga chat gide with home all these are husbands more than the fear God. Jesus Christ. The guy will be chatting with girls, he will be smiling, he will be. Then when he has finished chatting with them and they have gotten him all sexually excited and he is now all high, that's when he remembers her. Then he will now pounce on her with that whole sexual excitement. And she used to say to me that she knows that when the man is sleeping with her, that is not her that he's seeing the person he's chatting with. She's just the body that he's using to fulfill his mental sexual fantasies. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. Hey, so resentment usually is what happens when feelings are buried. Hurt is buried, anger is buried, and not to see you in any way, not to see you in any way, not to see you in any way. they feel unappreciated. Maybe they feel that's not if you name value in there with an owner. And when a girl, my mother-in-law, and a move. You may feather yourself. But this girl meeting, she was a very hardworking girl. I knew what she was doing. So somebody will be in a company, however, he poach she on and off issue one commissioner that day. So na government that is the government of that state. No get subvention of Anna to some top commissioners in the state. So luckily for her, she was there. She was in somebody's office. Well, no, maybe in Anna maybe 20 million for instance. Man, a governor no 2 million, maybe 5 million, as per saying that people within his cabinet. Do you understand? So that was a case like that. So she heard about it. Where make inquiry. So luckily for her, India one where the thing where say any of the commissioners this is Nigeria now. Say waiting here for my friend. So let me say like 40 million, fabulous 7 million naira. So and she had money that time. I'm going with know some gigs, they go save because I told you travel abroad or people will go to that time. So go to go see and they would really find out when men see that you are daring, some men, not every man that will do, but not really daring and people working after the day for any support. So when that particular commissioner saw that she was able to pull off that money, hey, why do I have for say if I got to cut for over 4 years, not the guy can see we can watch him travel. Hey, when you use your support. So when you use the girl or you use the girl project, this girl name is a project, name was extra cash. Do you understand? So she was able to start that house. Oh, mamma, we said we and bless that house, middle. However, she had this guy who was her friend. Man, this guy was dating somebody else. And this girl, not gonna date somebody else. My name the guy, now that his other relationship, one on shege. This girl on her own relationship, one on shege. Man, I give Bobo friends, now look all him, I give one on that hustle job. So I go maybe he have lunch as group of friends, Hana, Konna. So you can A advice, and B advice. Him go just something like that. Eventually, she now told the guy, say, ha, never work with this alone alone. And him go then I walk, never work with this house, can confide good in him, never work, man, never work architects, never work. But that near manaya bago and more fugo don't work killy eye no gabion it's nearly anya now monitor that architect so that the person can help complete the plan and then the contractor will finish the building. Luckily for her, this guy came up and this guy manya woman very well makana appear be a building contractor, right? So and building engineer actually. So this guy busy and consult or papier when you try other things that could make. So this guy eventually, because of how learned he was, this girl will lose the entire building of this land when you get. So if you need everything she passed it through this guy. Of course, I don't need to tell you how the story ended. They eventually got married. A break it up with the girl and overnight. B break it up. So eventually they met together. They found out now how a lot of common ground and they got married. However, this girl noticed the number of wedding for one the guy be from all over the town. So my mother-in-law no na kolofa maka the union or sefa na fa jego na can well office sign 60 go Rees Road. Une jego 60 go Rees Road. Jeffo no Chibuike nalo. Mba Jeffo no Chibuike lo something like that. Not because whether they had moved into the house. So my friend was like, that she doesn't understand that mama this boy man on the house from start to finish. Is it because the guy will have to monitor the project? Why is she telling her people that the guy built the house? So she maybe she just wants to just go with one on way and all of that. Man, the thing build the bazia, build the ba. The woman one you're not go for hey now we walk out go na fabia that is nafana bia the wedding nafa kodo nafa gejefo benwe nwokelo. And you know, like I like to tell you, resentment and we kilikili ife that you may just say, okay, or makanoji zegi. No te na mbefa na all na alone that they were not together, they were not dating, they were involved with two different people. So also just within, just somewhere along the line, they eventually found a common ground and they got together and they started dating. So, but this woman didn't stop. So eventually after her wedding, she wanted to give herself a gift because and then she bought a car. She bought a brand new car at that time. The mother continued, that's the mother-in-law now. Continue, hey, if you go moto, okay, go. And I buy far. That she actually liked her mother-in-law. According to her, she said she liked her, she was very friendly. But then after a while, she started noticing that if Obuna ona contributed in her home, because she didn't care that she was one that built the house and they lived together. Imago, she didn't mind about it. And the truth, according to her husband wasn't even glorying that it was his property. However, the mother was making that comment in her, just called a queen area. And then when we marriage, you might just decide to have a peaceful marriage. But there's somebody from somewhere just before you know what's happening, this couple started having issues. I'm telling you, this girl just no means anything now. Remember that Obrokwa, that the man was claiming that the house is his own. At least according to her. The man never claimed it. But because the mother and was saying it to her face, she said no. Shebi na you be the person, or you do it now. In fact, it got to a point where this girl said, Nafaga Papon at the house, get rent here the building. He have a very big bungalow. Near get rent to the house, kafa. Where go flat at the boy G. Ya kafa after all, now wine, walk out of what wine, no wine, okay. Kafa building a flat so that the mother can be satisfied. Ona call him go no okay, because she built the house and she furnished it. She spent multiple millions, if I'm gonna be truthful about that. If her own resentment was that the mother-in-law didn't count her efforts in the marriage. Imagoto apota say, hey, now that's not the girl. There are people that just either because of how they were raised or something, people's admiration helped them feel better about themselves. Do you understand? She just didn't like the fact that they didn't give her the accolade of her sweat, and they started causing issues in the marriage. Now the third thing they make marriage and resentment, but poor communication. Sometimes any problem to the point they feel either this comfortably raise a case, because every case somebody raising they lead into arguments. Anytime you want us to watch they find out about the problem. If you have a problem, kita no about Chioma Nelly didn't on a studio by 7:50. Oh yeah, about the problem. Ngwakede kai get tackle all this problem kita. Kede forge no na studio by 7:50. Okay, so you are sleeping with her, Abby? You are sleeping with her because how are you? So what is your business if she's and when the other are coming for so I happy if I be about other things. So because you don't like stress, you know wahala. Even if you don't be fat, I could cause a gabia or mezegi. And when the issue you raise it, you don't raise it. So your partner we can pause and say, hey, I have a very peaceful marriage, but the marriage is actually not peaceful. It is because na come God discuss with your partner that thing na bodage. Ina call and deal mobe na bottle there. And let me tell you, what Akili may expect, I am proud of you from a particular parent. Opolo na what Akili, for instance, na neme papia idolize. Mobono neme mamia idolize. And on a choki ijaya they phone neme no na. And the ijaria, it doesn't matter how many people in the world tell that child that they are proud of them. If they don't hear it from the person whom they are expecting it from, they will still have that vacuum in themselves that they are not doing, that they haven't felt loved. Even on the social media, sometimes you will see social media somebody, maybe only one drag on social media. You will give for 1,000 comments, everyone say, oh, we love you, don't mind all these people, they're just jealous of you. But if you maybe 10, 15, 20, 50 comments or people that are dragging you, if you rap on the focus on the because the energy you are putting there is the reason you are feeling the way you are feeling. So because he co-quadrog, in fact, in some cases, and when they like a confrontation, they say, "But that be an okay because I say kitan kana batafia, kicho kabe okay, kita ma even karamu posso to ikadre." You say okay, kicho kwala roto la kipote ani mabare. Ipote ani mabare. Madala ro lipoto nyo aka discuss case. Ima raise no toto. You say okay. Oteto la noto say that they get money for. O say go mad na jafia, ima kwana afia ga di bad raise here. You say okay, kona tafia I see it for right to here. Is safe. So there's never a good time. Every single time you raise the issue, they turn it off. Or there are people that anytime raise the issue, they start on the walking with, they say they don't want to talk about it. Or not build. So you have poor communication. In other cases, it is imbalanced responsibilities. Of when you feel the entire work in the relationship, in the marriage. Or maybe in some cases, you're not even the one bringing the money, but the weight of the marriage is upon you. The mental load, the physical load, the emotional load. In a field that not giving up with the marriage, and then the other person is not contributing anything or much. Number 5, will repeated disrespect or hurt. I think I've spoken about this one so many times. I don't know when say sorry to the point that now the sorry is the sense will make it to you, or that now only one day say sorry when will take you in. Monoya want consider the thing, because resentment usually is built when somebody tells you, when you complain about it and the person stops it. Monoya wakane me. Number 6, about comparison. If it says I can't even touch you again. I'm no longer attracted to you. You just knew so your breasts are finished falling down. My sister gave birth to 7 children. She's very flat. She's still a young girl. Since you gave birth, I can't even look at you again. I can't even touch you again. And I'm very ugly in my eyes. Or it could be that you no longer have money, and then you're no longer appealing, or maybe in a kefenge you describe. Now maybe meet lonya no na just e kana batafi mabuli eto na bed una manakita zaga ni dizika awo momoto before starting. So when you now want to touch the person, that's if that time you need to be walked before you do what you have to do. Young man like you no longer satisfy me. Hey. Hell. So the summary of this whole thing is that resentment that be found a cause from one incident. It is usually not something that starts once. It is something that builds over time. Now, can the signs you get malo that's na number 1, you are irritated by the person. And when that is this person's presence disgusts you. When is if only one that you only a crack the joke self the joke about ordinary joke about bagari, and I wonder what is funny there. Remember that at the beginning, I said that resentment is when love is dead. Because I try to address what people say that love is not the only thing that keeps a marriage. The moment the affection of you towards somebody dies, everything becomes a problem. Also, give good money, you have a problem with his good money, with her good money. Or still give me, you have a problem. Or fair, if also go there, if a perfume one about, but the fact that you are now irritated, or why the perfume money is for. Because anywhere attention goes, energy flows. Now listen to me. Let me say this very well. Anywhere attention goes, energy flows. The Bible calls it wherever your treasure is, that's where your heart is. So if the person's heart is no longer there, you are no longer the treasure. There's no need trying to manage it by saying, Biko, what did I do wrong? The moment the person's heart is no longer there, you will see it by the way they act towards you. Number 1, heart is easily irritated. Number 2, they are always finding fault. It doesn't matter that, like I said, it was a brush because a brush. Why you everything becomes a problem. The person is snoring is a problem. The person walking past you is a problem. The person greeting you is a problem. The person eating, sleeping, walking around, making phone call, receiving phone call, crossing the gate, opening the gate, closing the door, everything is a problem. Number 3, if it doesn't, you notice any now withhold is a kindness or affection from the person. I don't know here. This one in particular, I handled the case like this. I don't know your partner. Ona kwaho ni mabane. Eton riswo yimi. Hi. You're not even worried. Kaije no. Maybe in some cases, you can bolo na onyanwa bo udilinda na de kwa ejina hospital. You can bolo na egwagide na eko take health ya serious no. Do you understand? Maybe it's somebody that you've tried to help manage their health and they don't want because they feel. So when the person now comes down, you don't care. You have lost every feeling of softness towards it. If I put a madam when a soft touch, I be soft spot, you no longer have it for your partner. So the person is sick. You are irritated that they are sick. I don't know about sick in a dinner. If you dinner by this time, now radio sick radio can so. I'm as wafiata. I'm as out today. I'm a Sydney today. If it when they taking my time, they break it. It's to tell you that a lot of you people's marriages are already there. And we're staying because of the children. You're only deceiving yourself. Anyway, point number 2, Point number 4, in our say that everything now baka cigar. In fact, it pusia to just na shop on a can get making money, jelolo. You would rather stay there till night. You want to just stay anywhere else but around this person. Anything to make this person live your life is what you do, because I mean you are tired. Anything hand messing a trigger, everything is a point of trigger. Little, even if they say, well, because why are you begging me like that? It's a problem. Number 6, you feel a lot of tension. You're not at ease in the house. You're not at ease anywhere else. The person plugging a phone in walls around our work. You feel unheard. Communication becomes limited. If you got information, the difference between communication and in marriage and information in marriage. Information in marriage, my papa not to was the has a call ya. What she has no easy information. Chibike se kwa school ha na say ha with 500 naira go homework information. Pastor say agwage na gi send the go me pe na nkwa Sunday information. So there is information in communication, but the moment communication dies, the entire communication becomes information. And where's the first and was it just rosy is? So by then communication is dead in the marriage. Okay, can I so? Now Ilote, another point is when you remember some experiences you had with this person. Maybe with the for brooding your wedding. Ilote how your wedding went. You will be so angry, you'll be so bitter. So it was like you are so how do I describe it? Once you remember maybe a previous experience with this person, some of you might even be a painful experience. You are so angered by those people. And then of course I told you that the last part of it is hopelessness. Okay, for what I think kills marriages is not infidelity. Actually, it will shock you. I do not believe that cheating can kill a marriage, even though cheating is one of the things that opens the door to the death of the marriage. Because we are in Africa and we worship marriage a lot, so I don't believe that people can usually walk away when cheating happens. Remember that at the beginning that I told you that resentment is built by repetition. So usually when the person, or maybe the family, or maybe the friends, or maybe mediators that they don't understand that it is not incident A or incident B. It is incident that maybe started 25 years ago. And then I see it a lot in mediation. When the person now wants to talk about the previous things that built them up to the place where they are today, you will not hear the person say, if I believe fine anya bere ba kilo tebela anyi feme na 1991 ika happy fetana ba ne ko bulu wan kesi kwa wonto nka nwa Ghana, forgetting that the reason we are here is because of there. The reason we have built this level of anger, where the woman is not being begged to stay, or maybe to look after this man because nobody gonna age, or maybe that the children should remember their father. I think I saw a video the other day, 2 or 3 days ago, of a man who was saying that he had been abandoned by his daughters. A post on social media where the children now say they don't want to have anything to do with you. Before you get to the point where you feel that this is now the result, there was a cause. This is now the effect. But like I said, oftentimes having mediation, people don't like to go to the roots. People just want to, because the truth of Nama, they see all those things that even you that is mediating will tell the person, do you understand? That's the truth. That if you truly allow this person to go deep down into the well of the storage somewhere, to be able to export. Remember that I told you, if you're not state government says okay, it will take bringing a lot of people to pack. It will take days. So mediation of resentment, usually mediation resentment about over days, over weeks, over months. The reason you're doing that is not because you want to take it, is because you want to give the offended time to expunge all the hate. Because the more they talk and they complain, the energy, the darkness, that hate is dissipating. Because if you don't concentrate on expunging the energy of the hate, you will make the person to mask their hate, to forgive the person, to start living with the person again. And it will be like my uncle. True life story. who, when he had money, was philandering. He was a wealthy man. Philandered his life. Munye buti chambawa. Anaya kafarwa no. That you guy will need guy when. Don't worry, I'm gonna give you opportunity to call. Just once I round up now. That day guy no guy men because he was living on the fast lane. He was meeting people at hotels. He was living large. He didn't listen. One yogide. And you know, one of the things I used to say to men who have good women is that you don't want another man to give your wife attention. Believe me when I tell you. That woman will go, she will never come back. A lot of guilty conscience will prevent them from getting there. Because if I go guilty conscience of I don't want to be like my husband who is cheating, I don't want to. So it takes them a while to accept that law. They consistent. And she gets distracted. Even if it's just for 2 days, she won't come back. Anyway, this his wife, whereby get prayer ministry. Her own was actually prayer. She joined this ministry where she was praying for the man to come to his senses because his children were going crazy. He sort of first child, the rest of the business. So all the uncles, which are now my father and some other persons, building is like a way of the rest of the kids. So one year by a ministry. And then of course, if I don't work in a kind of no one the vulnerable. So the owner of the ministry started paying attention to her before you know what's happening. It took years though, I can assure you. My auntie eventually moved out of my uncle's house. Now, let me sound like a lot of counselors. Towards the evening of the man's life, by now, or they go diabetic, or they go down with diabetes, or they go hypertensive. I try to go I try to go manage. All of a sudden, my father and his brothers and him go because by then nani did not come back to the village to stay with their father. That was the funny thing. His children wouldn't stay with their dad. So my father were not making it happen. I said the only solution to this is to ask the wife, to beg the wife to come back, to come and look after the man, because the man could no longer take care of himself. So they went on a mission. I was still young then. I wasn't so young. I think I was already in my late teens. I'd be early 20s. I think I was my early 20s. Yes, I was my early 20s. Why is like of course she didn't continue with that ministry. By the time she just found herself, she moved away, focused their life. She didn't just no zero. But I think that ministry was what gave her the enough emotional distraction to pull out of that marriage. They didn't divorce officially, she just left and that was it. She didn't remarry, she didn't start dating anybody, nothing. She was just on her own. So I remember that day I asked my dad a very interesting question because sometimes on a mature road. But I asked my dad, see, reconciliation who does it benefit? Does it benefit the woman who na your or does it benefit your brother? Because your brother will go case and where's only ni moon that can handle it. You people maybe have money you're sending, but now nobody wants to pay the price of taking care of him, cooking for him and all of that. So all of a sudden now the rejected stone to come back. And see, so reconciliation to whose benefit is it? Do she gain anything when this relationship, when this marriage is restored? Of course, the rest is history. By the time she came back. Oh, I'm not gonna lie, she came back. After they begged her, they were sending money. Couple of years, already 3 years or 4 years. We came back to the village for something. I nata something. This man went nata. I'm not joking. I wept. Hey, Jehovah. This man was a complete different person from who he was. In addition to the fact nobody gonna age, and he was still a young man, so it's not like he was an old person. Or say na phone, maybe phone no debile na or say na phone na number the bata kita ma bia welia. O solu the person. I'm not at all to as na for say upon a road the chobia. He became this man deteriorated in less than 3 years or so. that when we came back for that trip, he looked at us. He was talking to us, the children, the cousins. On our side, I wept because if for this my uncle in his youth, don't you know, when, and that was the last picture of him I had. For me to now come back to the village and see this rickety, very slim, haggard, hungry looking by Nketon and he got bad. Of course, Emma was a meeting, talk about the wife, see no sense of it. See no sense of it. It's not funny, oh. Money, if everyone can about this man on ja. Hey, Jehovah. The man can wee and poo on himself. She will leave it there for 2 days. Oh, well, so oftentimes, of course, after she died, my father them had a meeting and had a lot of regrets. And I said to them, I know that maybe a nanny wouldn't have done a better job. I agree. I said, but as at the time you were asking this woman to come back, none of you acknowledged her pain. I think that was her anger. Nobody acknowledged her pain. Nobody allowed her to express that hurt and then made her husband to genuinely apologize. I just hear that. And that man was buried in 2021. His wife now lives with one of course, the children eventually reconciled with their mother. Of course, because even then, the kids were on their own. But after the father died, the children reconciled with their mother. If oh. So once your marriage has gotten to this place, it's already bad. Like a lot of things are bad. So in there was a constant irritation, in was emotional distance, in was the aggressive behavior, in I keep the record of what this person did. Of course, you already know lack of intimacy. The reason the person is not allowing you to touch them or they're no longer getting aroused when you touch them is because of harbored resentment. You are saying, oh, why is it that my wife is not allowing me to have sex? Once you marry a woman, ask her the things that are probably issues that you guys have not resolved. Frequent arguments over small issues, feeling like roommates, of course, we know most of these cases. So, Abulona, in a notice if I had to avoid it, communicate early, express your need. Ask them how do they want you to do it better so that you can change, so that they can feel happier. Practice appreciation daily. Say you are trying for me, you're trying for this house. Thank you very much. I know a girl who left her husband just because the man is not appreciative of all the sweat. Or say after, if I tell you that girl's story, that after everything she did for the family, that the man not kata with his friends one day, just to kata like this, and they were fine. Don't like they were quarreling that day. That the man just go, do you really mean that? The guy say, yes, nah, but that was a big deal. Now the guy say, no, just so brave, no, that night she packed her things. That night, not even the next day. Where will Anya Millie where goes sacrifices upon sacrifices upon sacrifices? Hey, Chimo. So where Bolia? Like I said, the moment resentment packs in, it means that the hope no lilanya knife umbangwe gardeneha are they go dead. So once hope is dead in a marriage, most times there's nothing you can do. Paloma Faith, only love can hurt like this.